Hey everyone, this tutorial is really special because today we are going to paint on acrylic sheet. So without any delay, let's get started. Painting on acrylic sheet can be a little tricky, but with the right techniques and materials, you can achieve the beautiful result. In step 1 of this painting, we are going to paint the seaweed. So here we have the color light purple, and using my round brush, I am going to draw some curves to draw the seaweeds. Now let's add some patterns like leaves on the both sides of the curves. When painting on acrylic sheet, it is often recommended to paint in reverse order. So you have to start with the top layer or details first, then you can work your way backward to the background. That's why here we are working on the foreground first. So in the foreground of this painting, we have the seaweeds. That's why we are painting them first. Now it's time to add the shadow part of the seaweed. So here we have the color dark purple, and we are adding the same patterns using the dark purple again. Here I'm using my 6-inch acrylic painting sheets. It's a very small one. So here I'm using my round brush to add the details. So you can use a small size round brush or a detailing brush to add the details in your painting. Now let's mix the color light pink and carmine to get a pink shade. If you have the color pink, you can directly use that color pink. And we are going to paint the second seaweed. So you have to draw some curve like this, and we are adding some stem in the shape of a curve. And it is really easy to draw the seaweed, and also you will feel really fun to paint them. In this underwater scenery painting, we are going to paint colorful seaweed. So I really enjoy this painting. Now load your brush with a carmine, and we are going to add the color in the curves like this. You can use the same color to draw some outline for the seaweed. While painting on acrylic sheet, you have to focus on 4 things. The first thing is you have to plan your design. Before starting your painting, you have to plan out your entire design, and you have to visualize the layers. And the second important thing is you have to use a reference. Having a reference image can help you to track your layers and details. And the third one is you have to work from top to bottom. So you have to start with the top layer, and you can go backward to paint your background, and you can use a very thin paint. So if you are applying the thin paint, then you can avoid getting the thick and uneven surface. Now let's mix medium green and yellow to get a light shade of green, and we are using this beautiful light shade of green to paint the highlight spots in the third seaweed. And you can see, if you are painting on acrylic sheet, you have to work on backwards. So we are applying the highlights first, then we can go forward and we can paint the background. To paint this third seaweed, I am just using my round brush, and I draw some line like this. And then you have to let it dry, then you can add the second layer. So in the second layer, I am using the color medium green, and I am trying to fill the gap between the light green. But we should not cover the entire gap because we are going to add the shadow part in the seaweeds. To paint the shadow part, we need the color dark green. So here we have the color medium green, and we have the color black. So when we mix the colors, we will get the color beautiful dark green. Now let's mix the color green and black, so you will get a beautiful shade of dark green. But when we are working with the color black, we have to be really careful. If you are adding too much of black, then the color will turn into complete black. So you have to add a pinch of black. Now we are using the same techniques to add the shadow part in the seaweeds. Now you can cover the remaining gap in your seaweed painting. Seaweed is often depicted as a uniform green color, but in reality it can range from bright green to dark green. So adding these type of different greens makes our painting really beautiful. Now we are ready to paint the fourth seaweed, so it is really easy one. Now this time we are going to draw some long curves, and here I am using the color light green. Just mix the color medium green with yellow to get this light green, and we are painting this long curves to paint the seaweed. While painting seaweeds, we have to pay attention to the edges. So you have to see the seaweeds often has delicate feathery edges. So we have to use a small brush to create soft and fuzzy edges. Now let's mix the color orange and red to get a dark shade of orange to paint the fifth seaweed. So this is the easiest one. So now you have to take a dry round brush and we are going to just tap the color on the surface like this to get a texture like this. Some types of seaweed has this sponge like texture, so we are just using this dabbing technique on the surface like this to create the sponge effect in our painting. While painting this type of texture in our painting, we have to make sure the brush is dry. So here I am using my dry brush to get the result. You can mix match the color red and yellow, orange to get different shades of orange and use the color to paint this sponge effect seaweed. Now let's take the color turquoise and we are painting the last seaweed. So this is the easiest one. So you have to draw some uneven long curves to paint this seaweed. Another most important thing when it comes to seaweed painting is add movement and flow. So seaweed is often depicted swaying gently in the ocean current. So use soft and curved lines to convey this sense of movement. Adding this movement and flow will create a beautiful effect in our painting. I am really obsessed with the seascape painting. I really like to paint the beautiful sea scenery, especially the beautiful blue shades. And if you are someone who is really interested in painting beach scenery or seascape painting, then you have to check this playlist. In this playlist, you will learn how to paint different types of seascape painting with a step-by-step guidance. So if you are really interested, then don't miss this playlist. Now let's add some bubbles using the color turquoise and white, and we are using this light color to add some bubbles in our painting. As we are working backwards in our painting, we are working on the foreground first, then we are going to the midground, then finally we are going to paint the background. So in the midground we are having some fish, so we have to paint them later. Now we are in the step 2 to paint the beautiful fish in our painting. So here we have the color yellow. So first we need to draw some curves on top and bottom. Then we can fill the gap between them using the color orange. Now we can use the same orange to paint the fin and the tail. I always like to paint underwater scenery. The reason is the colorful seaweeds and fishes, because the texture and the flow and the movement in the underwater scenery is really beautiful, and I want to really convey the beauty onto my canvas exactly, and this painting is one of them. So if you are someone who is really interested in painting underwater scenery with the beautiful fishes and seaweeds, then don't miss this painting. In this painting you will learn how to paint this beautiful scenery with a step-by-step guidance. Now let's mix a deep cyan white and a bit of black to get a dark shade of blue, and we are using this color to paint the fish in the background. We don't need to add more details while painting the fish in the background. We just need to add the basic shape for them. If you're new here, please consider this your official welcome. I am Rexana, an acrylic painting artist. I am very passionate about sharing my painting with beginner artists, and if you are really interested in my painting and tutorials, then make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on my other social media platform to know all the regular updates about my paintings. In step 3, we are just painting the coral, and I'm so excited to paint them. So here we have to use the same color. So I just mix the color deep cyan with the black and a bit of white to get this dark shade of color, and we are applying this color using a flat brush. My acrylic sheet is not cooperating with me. It is moving over and over again, so I have to handle this beautiful and sweet incidents again and again. Now let's mix the color turquoise and white, and let's add some rays of light here. So we have to drag some line like this. Now load your brush with white, and we are adding some long and random curves to paint the surface of the water. Now we are in the most exciting final step. So here we are ready to paint the background. So now let's take the color cerulean. So on the top of this acrylic sheet, we need to apply some light shades of blue. So here we are using this color cerulean, and in the center of the acrylic sheet we can apply some medium shades of blue. So here we have the color deep cyan and cerulean blue. I just mix them to get a medium shade of blue. While moving towards the bottom, we need a dark shade of green. So here we are applying the color deep cyan directly. Finally, we need to apply dark shade of blue. So here we have the color black. So now let's mix the color black and a deep cyan to get a dark shade of blue. Now the painting is ready. Thank you for painting with me today. I will meet you guys with another beautiful painting with a step-by-step guidance in my next video. Until then, have fun with colors.